people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Okay, we'll start with this. Bit of an update on a fighter we haven't talked about in a while. Unbeaten up-and-comer in the women's featherweight division, Karriss Artingstall posted 2 images of herself with a caption that reads, "This is probably the best shape I've stayed in between fights. 16 months out. More than a year." To which a Twitter user who goes by the name Rosie responded, "Come on, Jake Paul, Nikisa Badarian, MVP, Amanda Serrano, get this lady signed. She will continue to dominate the division if given the opportunity to fight." Now, where it gets interesting is where Karriss Artingstall herself tags MVP, Nikisa Badarian, and Amanda Serrano, because it's one thing for the fans to do it, but it's quite another when the fighter does it. That is indicative that her relationship with Boxer must have ended. And why that's interesting is she got signed at the same time as Lauren Price, what used to be her significant other. And Lauren Price is still with that promotion, but Karriss Artingstall apparently is not. So I guess that she's a network and promotional free agent from that same cycle of Olympians, the same cycle as Skye Nicholson, her arch-nemesis, who she beat in the amateurs. Sporting a professional record of 7 wins with no losses and no draws, 1 recorded knockout. Last in action in March of the previous year opposite the ring Raven Chapman, who she easily beat over 10 rounds. And now at least one of her supporters is calling for MVP to pick this fighter up, but I've got a different perspective. I've got a different idea. It's getting crowded over there at MVP. They've got enough girls that they need to keep busy, that they need to keep active. If they picked up another in Karriss Artingstall, she wouldn't really stand out, given who they've already signed. But what if she went over to Matchroom that needs to fortify its stable of Valkyries, sign some new ones? I think she would be better off going to Matchroom than going to MVP. Matchroom doesn't have as many girls under contract. Some have left, some have migrated over to MVP. Katie Taylor, their star fighter, is set to retire this year, so why not pick up Karriss Artingstall, put her to good use, build the fight between her and Skye Nicholson, who they still have under contract. What offers a stark contrast? What it's like when Matchroom is at the helm of the promotion and what it's been like when it's Boxer at the helm of the promotion. Skye Nicholson lost to Karriss Artingstall in the amateurs, but Skye Nicholson has received far better promotion. She's already been a champion at not 1, but 2 separate weights, where Karriss has yet to fight for a full alphabet title. I said it back then, when Lauren Price, Karriss Artingstall, then a couple, were shopping around for a promotional outfit to debut with. I said they would have been better off debuting at Matchroom instead of debuting with Boxer. Matchroom has already shown they know what they're doing, they know how to promote women's boxing, but they went with Boxer.
That was a mistake.
And we see the end result. Lauren Price, in spite of being an Olympic gold medalist and a unified welterweight champion, has next to no visibility. And Karriss only fought once in 2024 and once in 2025.
What kind of fucking schedule is that for an Olympic bronze medalist?
Just saying, if she gone to Matchroom from the get-go, she'd be a lot further along in her career than she is now, and I don't think it's too late. I would not recommend that she go to MVP with all those other girls they've got to accommodate. I would recommend that she go to Matchroom, who, let's be honest, are mostly responsible for the big women's boxing boom of the last decade. All the things that Matchroom did for the career of Skye Nicholson, they can also do for the woman that beat her in the amateurs, Karriss Artingstall. And I would like to see Karriss go over there. I would like to see somebody pick her up, but preferably Matchroom. Men's super middleweight news, Hamza Shiraz prioritized activity, defends Zachenhuber title fight. The 28-year-old Brit will defend his WBO super middleweight title against Simon
Zachenhuber.
on Saturday night on the Anthony Joshua vs. Christian Prenga undercard at Jeddah Superdome in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, streamed live to DAZN Ultimate subscribers via pay-per-view to non-subscribers.
Which is a load of horse shit.
Zachenhuber, 29-1 with 18 KOs, lost a 6-rounder on points to Powell August, 19-0 with 7 KOs in April, in London before beating Armin Adrulai by TKO after 4 rounds in June 28 in Cologne, Germany. The 28-year-old German contender has also never fought an elite-level opponent, nor has he participated in a 12-rounder. And this is the kind of fight the people at DAZN are expecting you to pay $60 to see on the undercard of Anthony Joshua's layup.
Ridiculous.
As a result, Shiraz continues to be chastised. However, the newly crowned champion believes he has a good reason for fighting someone on the level of Zachenhuber. "I'm staying active, staying ready," Shiraz told The Ring. "I had a couple of days off after the last fight on May 23rd, and then I was straight back into camp again, just showing that I truly live a champion's lifestyle." In addition to staying fit, Shiraz, 23-0 with 1 draw and 19 knockouts, who stopped Alem Bejic in the second round to win the vacant title, wants to avoid the inactivity bug. "That's one of the reasons why I took this fight," Shiraz continued. "I was out of the ring for so long. The comeback fight lasted 1.5 rounds, and then I got the opportunity to fight again. I didn't fight for 10 or 11 months before that, so it's nice to stay active and build up all of that momentum again."
It's not who Hamza Shiraz is fighting that I take issue with, it's what it costs. He's tuning up and staying busy, so is Anthony Joshua, and that doesn't have all the makings of a box office fight, a pay-per-view worthy event. A bunch of tune-ups?
Shiraz beat Bejic almost 9 weeks ago on the Oleksandr Usyk vs. Rico Verhoeven undercard at the Pyramids of Giza in Giza, Egypt. The ring's number 9 ranked super middleweight doesn't see the problem with facing lesser opposition because this is such a quick turnaround. For those who do take issue with it, he simply wants you to look at his resume, particularly when he fought Edgar Berlanga a year ago. "When I took the Berlanga fight, they were saying it was too much, too soon," Shiraz said. "And now I have the opportunity to stay busy and stay active. It's like they want you to take continuous, back-to-back hard fights, which I don't mind, to be fair. My world title fight was meant to be against Diego Pacheco, but he didn't want it, so you fight the next in line."
I don't have a problem with him staying busy against this guy. What I have a problem with is the cover charge. This is not the kind of fight, even for an undercard, that you should have to pay extra to see.
In one of the biggest nights of his life, Shiraz made it look easy against Berlanga, stopping him in the 5th round at the Louis Armstrong Stadium in Queens, New York. Shiraz and Pacheco were mandated to fight for the vacant WBO title several months later. However, Pacheco admitted that he wasn't ready for their bout and withdrew from the purse bid process. The 25-year-old LA native stopped Emmanuel Alim in the 11th round this past Saturday and said afterwards that he's now ready to take on all comers. In the end, whether it's Pacheco, his mandatory challenger, Jacob Bank, or a higher profile fighter, Shiraz expects his next bout to be against a quality fighter. Interestingly, Denmark's Bank,
19-0 with 11 KOs.
will fight the Polish-born, England-based August, 19-0 with 7 KOs, on the Joshua vs. Prenga undercard. You can see what they're doing. They're setting up the fight between them, between Hamza and the winner of that fight.
For those not familiar with Jacob Bank, he fought in an eliminator against former champion William Skull and beat the dog shit out of him. The fuck and the shit.
And the piss.
"I'm sure after this there will be a big one," Shiraz said. "I reckon I'll hopefully get a unification or my mandatory Jacob Bank will be ordered, and that's a good fight as well."
I agree. I wouldn't mind it at all seeing Hamza Shiraz fight Jacob Bank. He's proven his quality in knocking out a tricky mover in William Skull, so I don't mind that fight. The only thing I mind about this weekend's action, this weekend's fights, is that they are grossly overpriced, especially to an American consumer.
In any event, now that he's WBO champion, Hamza Shiraz has fast become a wanted man in the super middleweight division, and when the time comes, it may not just be Jacob that he has to deal with. The WBO is now considering installing Janibek as the #1 contender at 168.
The now former unified middleweight champion recently vacated his WBO title, confirming his long-awaited move up in weight. As has been the case with Keyshawn Davis at welter, the 33-year-old could well find himself vaulted up top of the rankings in his new division. In theory, Janibek can request the mandatory challenger designation in a higher weight class based on his status as an undefeated former world champion. WBO president Gustavo Olivieri told The Ring, "It remains to be seen whether the committee considers such a request and allows him to become Hamza Shiraz's mandatory challenger. Should the decade-long pro make that request, it will not be an expedited title shot given his ongoing suspension will remain in place until December. Alimkhanulai, 17-0 with 12 KOs, was preparing for a 3-belt unification with WBA champion Arislandi Lara. The WBO suspended the Kazakh for a year, though chose not to strip him of his champion status. Janibek's former opponent, Denzel Bentley, scored a 7th-round stoppage of Endri Saavedra to win interim honors in April, which have this week been elevated to full champion status. Shiraz, 23-0 with 1 draw, 19 knockouts, the Ring's #9 super middleweight, became world champion with an easy 2nd-round stoppage win over the overmatched Alem Bejic. Keeping active after almost a year-long stretch out the ring, he'll make his first title defense against Simon Zachenhuber on this weekend's Joshua vs. Pringa undercard in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. The pair were previously ordered to fight for Janibek's WBO and IBF crowns in October of 2024, though Shiraz withdrew and instead fought to a split draw with WBC champion Carlos Adames.
So it would seem that Janibek has once again become Hamza Shiraz's problem. If he petitions the WBO for mandatory status and it is granted, Hamza's gonna have to deal with him. Another middleweight moving up in weight.
Hamza Shiraz moved up in weight, Jaime Munguia, Armando Resendiz. It's said that Carlos Adames is set to make the same move. The super middleweight division is fast becoming one of the most talent-rich, deep divisions in all of boxing, and there are any variety of good fights to make.
I wouldn't mind Janibek Alimkhanulai versus Jacob Bank.
It's another good one. The former bogeyman of the middleweight division might not seem so bogey, might not seem so scary at 168, where the fighters are a little bit bigger, a little bit meaner, and more durable. So we'll see how Janibek makes out.
Gotta see how Hamza Shiraz makes out this weekend, it being a layup.
You don't have to overthink it. In all likelihood, Hamza is gonna knock this German guy's block off. It's a question of, who does he fight after that? Does he fight Jacob Bank? Does he fight Janibek? Does he go into a unification?
We'll see.
There should be drug testing. And I haven't been drug tested either. So there should be drug testing. That's 100%. So, yeah, interesting.
Is there anything you can do between now and fight day in terms of that?
What's that?
Anything you can do or would do or would like seeing
Me,
done?
I can only do what I can do. But to see something done, oh, I think I'm not going to accuse him and think that he's been doing something, you know. I don't know. Honestly, I've got no answer for that.
This is a perfect example of what I'm always telling you about anti-doping testing in the sport of boxing, that if what the sport really wanted was for it to be standard and uniformed, available in all major fights, then it would be, because it boils down to the fighters and their teams to contract an anti-doping agency like VADA or Drug-Free Sport.
USADA.
So when Tim says that he would have liked for there to have been some testing, then you should have contracted it. Same way Devin Haney independently hires the Voluntary Anti-Doping Association to do the testing for his fights is the same way Tim could have did the same thing.
So you couldn't have wanted it that bad.
Which goes back to what I'm always telling you. The people in boxing don't really want a cleaner sport. They might say that when there's a microphone in front of them, but when push comes to shove, somebody's got to go out there and get it. Somebody's got to go out there and pay for it. And the fighters don't want to do that. Pay extra out of their purse. The promoters,
They don't want to do that either. If they had to pay for anti-doping testing for every fight on a single card, that would drive the cost of doing a show up.
way up. to where it would be near impossible to turn over a profit from doing a show. So they don't want to do it either. The alphabet organizations, like the World Boxing Council and their supposed clean boxing program, they don't pick up the tab either.
They don't want to pay for it. They just want to pretend like they're doing something.
Make like they're doing their part to clean up the sport of boxing, when in all actuality, they're just taking the results of tests that somebody else paid for and uploading them to a database.
That's all.
That's it. That is the clean boxing program in a nutshell. So understand that if the powers that be and the people in boxing wanted anti-doping testing to be uniform, then it would be. If there's no testing for this fight, it's because Tim didn't really want it, Errol didn't really want it, the event coordinators didn't really want it.
Don't forget who's at the helm of the promotion. It's Tim's people more than Errol's. This is more a No Limit Promotions show than a PBC show, so it was more on them to hire some agency to do the testing.
Tim can act blindsided by the line of questioning all he wants. If when you guys were negotiating this fight, you wanted anti-doping testing, then you would have put that into the contract and No Limit would have seen it done. The bottom line is, nobody here wanted it bad enough. That safety provision.
I heard a rumor earlier this week that Errol Spence Jr. is back on the sauce.
What?
Back on the roids. You can make of that what you will. I've never known Errol Spence Jr. to be a dirty fighter, and he's never tested positive for a banned substance. But that was a rumor I came across earlier this week, and I believe it.
Not because I want to pigeonhole Errol Spence Jr., but because of what I've been telling you. Underneath it all the top-level fighters, especially the ones making 7 figures per fight, they're on the sauce, they're on the juice, and they all know it. It's the industry standard. It's what everybody knows without saying it.
So you think Tim could be on something too?
Possibly. If Tim wanted to ensure that the other guy's not using anything, he would have hired VADA. Perhaps the reason that he didn't is because he's on something too. I don't put nothing past nobody.
This weekend's fight is not a world title fight. It's not a final eliminator. To my knowledge, there are no alphabet organizations involved in the Tszyu versus Spence fight. So there's no built-in quote-unquote testing.
No clean boxing program, no fair boxing program.
Nothing.
I don't pretend to care about the fighters' safety like some other people, to be honest with you, because if the fighters themselves are making a conscious decision to use something or entertain fighters that might be using something, they're the ones taking the punches, and if they don't care, why should I?
Why would I cry over it?
I'm indifferent, but that's only because they set the tone for what's going on. So, if they don't care, why should I?
I won't pretend to.
I'll have the paramedics wrapping your fucking head up like a Hindu. Look, I'm not going nowhere, so get used to me. Oh geez, look at me and see I'm what they used to be.
Where's that from?
There's so much virtue signaling within the boxing space now from so many content creators who want to be buddy-buddy with the fighters, pretending to care.
I don't.
I don't give a salient shit if the fighters themselves are making an already dangerous sport even more dangerous by using synthetic drugs. That's their problem.
It's on their conscience, not mine.
So now you know. There are no safety provisions for this weekend's fight between Tim and Errol because they didn't want there to be.